Long ago, in a world called Valderad, 5 primal dragons were born. Each of them represented an element. Ikaret was fire, Madielt was water, Anant was earth, Fremrid was wings, and Exandra, the most powerful one and their queen, was life. Together they built a kingdom in the sky, and they call it Idraxor. For thousands of years, their dragon lived in peace. Their kingdom continued to expand until one day they met the elf, considering the dragon as monster, in fear that it would conquer them. The elf declared war. The dragon and the elf fought for hundreds of years, until the king died by an illness. His successor, his son Drydale, wanted to stop this war and make peace with the dragons. Even if much of the elves disagreed with him, Drydale asked an audience with the Queen of the Dragons. She of course accepted because, like him, she wanted peace. King Drydale, along with his other general, met with the Queen and the other primordial dragon. After a long meeting, they finally managed to reach an agreement, and they signed a peace treaty. This stopped the war, and over time the elves and dragons began to accept each other. In order to better coexist, the dragons even took an humanoid appearance. Idraxor then became not only the kingdom of the dragons, but also that of the elf. To ensure that this peace persisted, the king of the elf and the queen of the dragons decided to get married. Initially a simple political marriage, they quickly became a real couple and fell in love. A few years later, they had a son, and to celebrate his birth, the dragons and the elf gathered at Idraxor. It was a great day for everyone, not only because this baby was the firstborn from an elf and a dragon, but also because he was destined to become the first king of both races. It was also an happy day for Exandra and Drydale.
He's so beautiful. And look, he has your eyes.
I think he looks more like you than me. He is a dragon after all.
Oh, come on. I'm sure when he's old enough to take on a humanoid form, he'll look just like you.
Maybe you're right.
Something's troubling you, my dear?
I just hope he will be strong enough to lead our two peoples one day.
Honey, stop. Everything will be fine. He won't be alone in this. Me, you, my brothers and sisters, even the elders will be there to help him. Now, what name would you like to give him?
Pandragon. Pandragon Valimar. The pride of our people.
Some time passed, and Pandragon was now 6 years old. It is at that age that his combat training and his teaching lesson began. His father trained him the art of battle and magic, while he was learning everything about the world from his mother. Something that really fascinated him was the story about the gods.
Mom, what are gods?
They are the ones who shaped our universe.
How can they do a thing like this? Does that mean we are their children?
In a sense, they are the parents of all of us.
If they are our creator, they probably are cool and awesome.
Not all gods are necessarily good, my child. It's not really different from mortals. Everyone has a darkness in their heart.
I don't understand.
You will in time, my child. That is why you are learning with me.
With that, he continued his mother teaching. And with time, he got so much knowledge about this world and the other As for his combat training, he was surprisingly really strong, but was still lacking a little with magic. His father was sure in time though that he would master it perfectly. After all, his son was special compared to the other dragon, or elf. Pandragon's parents were so proud of him, and knew he would become a good ruler someday. What they didn't know, though, is that day will never come to pass. 15 years later, the elf and the dragon discovered the existence of the human race. Coming from another continent, they began to build and expand their civilization on the dragon and elf territory without knowing. The dragons and the elf didn't like it at all, some of them even considering them as an inferior race and primitive, and thought about conquering them and make them slave. Queen Exandra, her husband, and a lot of their subjects didn't agree with them and wanted to do the same thing they did with the elf, sign a peace treaty and allow them to coexist with their people.
Are you mad, Your Highness? You want this primitive race to coexist with us? They are destroying our land right now.
I understand your anger, Primal Akarat, but they still don't know we exist. If they learn about us, they will.
And what if they are feared and see us as an enemy? A war will happen again like our two people long ago.
Is that why we should give them a chance? We still do not know anything about them.
To be honest, just by seeing them, I don't trust them. We cannot make peace with a race so untrustworthy.
I agree with Primal Ananth. Even with primitive civilizations, they can be dangerous. Also, why should we accept a race inferior to the elves and dragons? We should instead conquer them and rule over them to show the true power of the dragons and elves.
We are no conqueror, Icarth. With time, we can win human trust, I'm sure of it. Even if they are maybe more primitive, why we should not accept them?
If we were able to make peace with my people, I am sure we can with the humans.
This meeting is over. We will not declare war against the humans. We will win their trust and thus make peace with them.
You are weak and naive, Your Highness. Your kindness and desire to peace are blinding you. This is not over. We will not accept this.
Primal Ikaret, Primal Anant, and son of the elder left the throne room, furious. The queen and the king were a little worried about Ikaret's loss for war this last few years, but thought that with time he and the others will understand and accept the human race. Unfortunately, they were wrong, and the one who were opposing them formed a group of rebels. Their goal was simple: assassinate the Dragon Queen, the King of the Elf, their son, as well as all those who will remain loyal to them. As the second born of the dragon, and without an heir, Ikaret would become the new king, and he will lead the elf and dragon into an era of glory. There was still a problem though. How could they defeat the three most powerful beings in this world? Anant expressed his concern.
You know that I will always be loyal to you, my brother, and I will follow you to the end. However, how are we going to defeat the king and queen? Even with our combined powers, we have no chance. Not to mention the other primortals, who continue to blindly follow the queen.
You don't have to worry, my brother. I have a plan that will ensure our victory. We will have the power required to defeat all of those who will be in our way. The reign of Dretel Alexandra will soon end.
And how can we possess even more power? Only gods could rival our sister in the King of Elves. Don't tell me that.
Indeed, Ananth. It is time we make a pact with Anarkil, the goddess of evil and darkness.
Are you sure, my brother? If ever this goddess refuses.
Do you trust me, Ananth?
Of course, Icarif. Me and all the rebels will always be loyal to you.
That's what I wanted to hear.
And thus Icarus ventured himself into the ruins of a temple, the location of which only he knew. In the temple there was a large room where a demonic symbol was drawn on the floor, and in its center stood a pedestal with a grimoire. The book was a gigantic volume with a black leather cover and enveloped by a red glow. Strangely, Icarus was able to cross the circle on the ground without problem and opened the book. The dragon had at that moment found himself into a world covered in darkness, and before him was the figure of an horned woman with a gigantic membranous wings and flame in her eyes. Anarkil laughed and looked at the dragon with an evil smile.
After all this time, finally I have a visitor. I have heard of you for a long time, Icarus.
How do you know my name?
Well, I expected you. I'm the goddess of darkness and evil after all. Icarus, primordial dragon of fire. Your desire for glory and conquest is what brings you to me today. Am I right?
Indeed, great goddess. My queen and the king of the elves are no longer fit to rule. They have become too weak and only wish for peace with inferior beings. It is time for someone like me to take control. To do this, I must eliminate them and their prodigal son.
And you require my help to have power necessary to defeat them? What would you offer me in exchange?
I swear loyalty to you, goddess. Offer me your help, and in exchange I and all my loyal subjects will serve you.
Interesting. It is very exciting. Perfect, Icarus. I offer you part of my powers and an army of demons at your service. For your rebellion and your conquest, you will become one of my demon lord. Make that world kneel before me!
With this, Anarkil gave him the power he needed and became a demon lord. He then offered some of his power to the other leader of the rebels, his brother the primal Anant, and one of the elf general. As for the remnant of the rebel, they were so loyal to Icarus and his cause that they were following him blindly. Thus, a civil war broke out in the kingdom of Yggdrasil. Pandragon was studying in the palace library that day. He felt the building shaking, saw the guard turns against each other, and heard the sound of fighting coming from outside. What's going on? A balcony overlooking the kingdom was in the room, and Pandragon decided to take a look. He was then horrified by what he saw. The city was in flames. Dragons were fighting in the sky. Elves were killing each other in the street, and some monstrosities were causing havoc. Pandragon didn't understand what was happening, but one thing was certain. His parents were maybe in danger. He quickly left the library and ran toward the throne room. Unfortunately, he arrived too late. In front of him lay the corpse of his parent. The gigantic pool of blood covered the ground. And in the middle of this massacre was his uncle Icaret. In shock and crying with rage, he looked at his uncle straight in the eyes.
Uncle Icaret, what have you done? Why and how?
Your parents had become weak and pitiful. All they wanted was peace with all the races of this world, despite the fact that they were inferior to dragons and elves. I had no choice but to eliminate them. It is time for us to conquer this world, and for the inferior races to bow down before us.
Monster! How dare you speak that way about my parents? You have gone crazy.
Filled with rage, Pandragon tried to confront his uncle, but he was no match for him. Badly injured and out of breath, Pandragon fell to his knees in front of Icaret. Pandragon wanted to take on his true dragon form, but Icaret interrupted him by grabbing him by the throat and leaning him against a wall.
Is that all the prodigal son can do? Pathetic.
You power. Ow.
So, you sense it, huh? Well, considering how much more powerful your mother was, I needed to find a way to kill her. So I made a deal with the goddess of evil and darkness.
What did you...
No matter. You're about to die now.
Not on my watch.
A large ice spike hit Icaret at that moment, throwing him to the other end of the room, forcing him to let go. Pandragon fell to the ground, and the last thing he saw before losing consciousness was his aunt Maidelt. Sometime later, Pandragon finally woke up, but he was unable to open his eyes, and could no longer feel his body. Moreover, he heard his aunt talking to another woman, whose voice was unfamiliar to him.
He's injured, and I can't heal him. If we don't do something, he will die.
Probably because he was touched by demonic magic.
Can't you save him? After all, you are...
Even with my power, it is impossible for me, just like you, to heal him. Demonic magic is too strong.
Pandragon Valimar must not die. He is the only one who can stop the Demon King Icarth and save Balderad from destruction. If we had known that my brother was going to make a pact with the Nargli.
Pandragon was not yet ready to learn his father's divine magic.
What are we gonna do now?
If he cannot be healed by magic, there is only one solution. But for that, I must bring him to another world.
How?
Those of this world are capable of healing him without resorting to magic. They call it technology, and they are the only ones who could succeed in saving him. However, there is a problem.
What do you mean?
I can bring him to this world, but it will be impossible for me to bring him back to Valderod. He will have to find a way to come back on his own.
And thus, Pandragon Valimar was sent to a world called Earth, and a family of scientists were about to heal him with technology. Some years later, he was able to wake up.